Hello, this is Rabbi Mark Angel at the Institute for Jewish Ideas and Ideals. Our website is jewishideas.org. Thank you for joining us today. The question I was asked relates to a current scandal, question, discussion in the Jewish community about a newspaper published by right-wing Hasidic Jews in which they showed a picture that was taken in the Oval Office, and they whited out the two women who were present in the room, one of them being Hillary Clinton. And when they were asked why they took this photograph and cropped out the women, they answered that it's according to their rabbinic leadership, that it's not considered to be modest to have women in newspapers and pictures, and men shouldn't look at those pictures. And they wrote as follows, this is their quotation: "Publishing a newspaper is a big responsibility, and our policies are guided by our rabbinical board. Because of laws of modesty, we are not allowed to publish pictures of women, and we regret if this gives an impression of disparaging women, which certainly is never our intention." Well, if you crop out women from pictures and you make sure that men cannot see women in newspapers under any circumstances, this is disparaging to women. But I would go further. It's disparaging to the Torah and disparaging to men. We have laws of tzniut, of modesty, and it's important for us to know what those laws are based on. We are all created with certain sexual drives, and the Torah understands that. God created us. And God's intent was that we live a life of holiness, and we be appropriate in our relationships, that we don't see each other as objects, but that we see each other as fellow human beings. This can be accomplished in various ways. The way that's not working is a way that's prevalent in our modern society, where people, men and women, dress incorrectly and inappropriately in a way that's sexually provocative and intentionally so. This, of course, is against the Torah, and we should not condone that in any way. On the other extreme, there are those Haredi groups or very right-wing Orthodox groups who feel the best way to ensure this principle of holiness and modesty is to separate genders to the extent possible. This means not only not printing women's pictures in newspapers, it means building as many walls as possible between men and women. Differences in dress, differences in approach, differences in relationships, so that men see women as little as possible, as infrequently as possible, with the exception of their own wives. This has a long history. Our Talmud and our Shulchan Aruch, Rambam, have many laws relating to tzniut. But it's important to know what those laws are really about. Those laws are to ensure that we deal with each other in a normal, balanced way, not that we treat each other as objects that are totally forbidden to have any relationship with at all. So, for example, the halakha was basically developed by men, and the underlying assumption of much of the halakhic literature is that men are overwhelmed by a terrible sexual drive and they can't control themselves under any circumstances. And therefore, they shouldn't see any women. Even the woman's little finger is considered nakedness. We don't want men to see women at all. And in this way, we create a repressive society where women are objectified as things you're not supposed to talk to, be with, have any basic relationship with as fellow human beings. Well, if women were writing those same laws, they might have come to a different conclusion. They might have said, well, if men are having such a problem and men are so animalistic and bestial, then maybe the way to solve the problem is not to cover up women and not to keep women out of the limelight, but rather men should just wear blindfolds. Men should try to block their own eyes from seeing those things. Why penalize women? Because men have this terrible instinct. Within the halakhic literature, there's very little understanding, historically, that women also have feelings, and women also are entitled to respect as fellow human beings. On the contrary, they're basically seen as temptresses that are there to cause problems for men's evil inclinations. The halakha demands modesty. There's no question about it, and we insist on that. It's modesty in a spirit of holiness, in a spirit of well-balanced creation, relationship between men and women, as is the goal of God's creation. God created us to be who we are. But this does not require, and does not even allow, I think, that men and women should be totally separated and isolated. Men should be allowed to see women's pictures in the newspapers as women should see men's pictures in the newspapers. We should be concerned that men and women dress in a non-provocative manner, not tight clothes, not overly exposing themselves, not bright colored clothes. These things can be done without creating separate walls between the genders. In fact, creating these high separate walls ultimately creates more repression and more sexual thought than it would otherwise be. The Torah wants us to live as natural, normal human beings. Natural, normal human beings, whether we are men or whether we are women, means relating to all other human beings, whether they be men or women. It's not to hide from each other, but to deal with each other respectfully, honestly, and morally. This is our challenge. So when we see stories that depict orthodoxy or the halakha as being repressive to women, in some cases it really is, the way it's sometimes practiced, our responsibility should be to speak up for a normal, healthy relationship between men and women that maintains holiness, maintains kedusha, maintains tzniut, without compromising on those values. But this does not mean segregating men from women under all circumstances. Please, if you believe in what we're saying, and you think that what we're saying makes sense, support us through the Institute for Jewish Ideas and Ideals, which speaks out for an intellectually vibrant, compassionate, and inclusive Orthodox Judaism. We want to see Orthodox Judaism as a balanced, harmonious, beautiful way of life, not as a way of repression, not a way of disrespect for either men or for women. Join us, be part of our team. Please visit our website at jewishideas.org. Thanks so much for watching. Best wishes to all of you. Chazak, chazak, all good things.